You're listening to Up the Turnpike with hosts Mitch Anderson and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome to an emergency live stream for Up the Turnpike. Oh my goodness gracious. Matt O'Leary alongside Mitch Anderson. Lou Lamoriello out as New York Islanders general manager. They actually did it, Mitch. Wow.
I can't believe it. I'm flabbergasted, floored. I can't believe they actually did this. Do you believe this?
Well, I believe it because the team account tweeted it out.
Sorry, yes.
But it did come as a major surprise to me. This is not how I was expecting to spend my afternoon talking Lou Lamoriello. Shout out to Ben Cohen, if you're listening. I did an interview with him about an hour and a half ago for his class, and he was like, hey, you want to come on and talk about if the Islanders should move on for Lou Lamoriello or not? And I made the case that they should, and an hour later, here we are.
I mean, of course you would. Lou follows your every move and is like, now is the time. I've been waiting months for this. Matt O'Leary finally slipped up. Take that, loser.
Right. So naturally, the news comes out right after, but I was surprised to be proven right by this. That was not my anticipation. Although I think if you've watched our channel or subscribed to the podcast, you know how Mitch and I both feel. We thought this was the right decision for the Islanders to make after the season came to a close. And here we are. I'm just surprised, as you said, surprised we got to this point.
I'm surprised we got there this early, right? Like the Islanders season ended, last Wednesday, was it? No, last Thursday. We are less than a week since the season ended and Lou Lamoriello is gone. And again, the right move. This is absolutely the right move for the organization to do. The fact that he didn't say anything after my locker cleanout day on Monday, right? That was Monday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Alarm bells. But you never know. You never know, right? Because we've been told like he signed to multi-year, but he signed year over year type of thing. And it's Lou Lamoriello. He's not going to go until he wants to go. And maybe he did, right? Maybe he has a part in this saying like, you know what? I am 83, 84 years old. I'm good. And then the team was like, great, because we're kind of good too. Maybe. But as it stands right now, it does seem that they relieved him of his duties, right? So, or he will not be renewed. This is really how they say it here.
Correct. So here's the statement from the team. Isles News, the New York Islanders organization announced today that Lou Lamoriello's contract as president and general manager will not be renewed. Effective immediately, operating partner John Collins will lead a search to find the next general manager. Now, I'm sure in the coming days and potentially weeks, we can get into GM candidates and who we want them to go, but that's not what today's about. I think we just come on and share our one reaction to the news and talk about the era that was the Lou Lamoriello era, and then get the fan reaction here in the chat hanging out with us.
So many left lock right away. Beards for everyone. Facial hair, long hair.
Yeah, Kyle Palmieri, if he's staying, might be healthy, although maybe he's not staying because the next general manager is going to go, I don't want to sign a 33-year-old to a multi-year contract. Hopefully that's what the decision the next general manager decides to make. But in all seriousness, again, we'll get into the reaction. Yeah. My initial thoughts: appreciate Lou for bringing stability back to the New York Islanders. The beginning of his tenure was the best Islanders hockey that I've ever seen in my life in this 30 years that I've been on planet Earth. And with Barry Trotz, it was working. The last 4 years for me, they felt very stagnant. They were a borderline playoff team or missing the playoffs. And I just think they needed a change of direction here. So again, appreciate what he did, bringing the stability, but it was time.
It was absolutely time. I repeat your sentiments. Again, we have to appreciate what he has done. What Lou Lamoriello did when he stepped in, when our backup goalie was our general manager for 12 years. And that general manager did a decent enough job in certain aspects. The one big aspect is he couldn't hire a goddamn coach to save his life. And Lou did that day one, basically, right? Bringing in Barry Trotz. And that changed everything for the Islanders. But since then, it has been a steady decline. Sure, we made the Eastern Conference Finals technically twice. They weren't called Eastern Conference Finals the second time. Um, but we made it that point to that point, and he kind of kept on riding that. And you can ride that for a year or two. Sure, absolutely. Like we made those finals. We're going to ride this core for a couple of years. That kind of makes sense. But 5 years out to still be, we're going to ride this thing. We believe in this core. You're like, dude, that is not the same team anymore. By even just looking at the number of names on the sheet that weren't there then, there are like maybe 5 guys that are from that same team, and Barzal, Cizikas, Lee, and then like 3 or 4 defensemen in Pelech, Mayfield. I think that was about
You
it.
have like Pajot and guys like that too, but it's not the same group, and that group has gotten older over the last 4 years, and they haven't been able to supplement the core with enough talent to get to, get back to the playoffs.
Absolutely. And so this was, as we're seeing in the chats here, like it's about time, It's finally over. I used to pray for times like this for Matt C. There's a lot of really positive comments of the outcome. I'm sure there's going to be a few. I can't see all the comments because there's a ton, and just keep them coming, everyone. But there's going to be a lot of thank yous, and rightfully so, putting us back in a direction where we hadn't been in decades. We've been set up well, and it's now we got to build off of that.
100%. I think an absolutely outrageous photo used by SNY Islanders to announce the Lou Lamoriello news. It looks like maybe they just took that picture as he was walking out of not, I was going to say Elmont, but to East Meadow is where their practice facility is. So just had to pull that one up on the screen here.
That's hilarious. They darn did him wrong there. But yeah, so a lot of thank yous owed to Lou Lamoriello for, again, putting us back in the right position. But it was time, because he had not done so, or was not building upon that over the last couple of years. A couple of good moves, sure, but it was way too conservative based off of where we were.
Yeah, and even like we talked at the deadline when they acquired Cal Ritchie, we go, okay, that's a good return for Brock Nelson. But then when you look at the full context and go, well, he was kind of forced into that because Brock Nelson didn't accept his contract that was offered to him. You go, okay, well, plan A was to re-sign the soon-to-be 34-year-old Brock Nelson and not trade him for a haul. So, yeah, obviously, like, he deserves credit for what he was able to get for Brock, but at the same time, like, the criticism is valid that that's not really what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and that kind of criticism follows him post Eastern Conference Finals, right? Again, I know the second time wasn't an Eastern Conference Final, but for the sake of clarity, I'm just going to keep calling it that. But post that, like, a couple of good moves, right? You pick up Alex Romanov, great trade. That was a good trade. You pick up Horvat, another good trade. Good pieces added, but it just wasn't enough. It was never enough to put you back to where you needed to be at that particular moment in time. And then this one, as you're saying, I think not only do they miss the playoffs, and they should have missed it by a healthier margin because the East was garbage, but they don't do enough to improve their situation going forward either. Yes, you traded Brock, as you said. That was his decision, really. But you didn't do anything else. You didn't trade Kyle Palmieri. You didn't trade Jean-Gabriel Pajot, right? Like Joseph is saying here, like, not trading Palm stings even more now. Absolutely. There's a lot of failings going on by Lou Lamoriello, specifically this year.
Yeah, 100%. And again, the word or phrase I keep going back to was it was time. It ran its course. It wasn't like he was here for a short time. He was here for 7 years with the Islanders when, he was brought in at his age. I don't know if, we would have guessed that he would have been here for 7 years, but he served as the president and the GM of hockey ops. And now they're going a different direction. And I think you got to give Scott Malkin credit. A lot of fans were on him this year that, they have to do something. They can't just sit on their hands. And then, the season comes to a close and they have their exit meetings. And now the news comes out today.
Yeah. Absolutely credit for Scott Malkin for, making the decision. I'm assuming he made the decision again. Like, you never know how much input Lou Lamoriello had at his age, going like, you know what? I'm clearly not doing the thing. That would surprise me based off of everything we know about Lou. But he pulled the plug on Lou Lamoriello in terms of as a president and general manager when the club wasn't going in a good direction. Things were not great. You saw it just by the number of butts in seats near the end there. It wasn't there. The team was just kind of coasting. And that's just not what you want when you made a $400 million investment on just the team itself, let alone all of the infrastructure that they have purchased since then, and upgrading the arena, upgrading the practice facility, and so on and so forth. There's a lot that they put into this team, and they need this team to be good to see a good return on that investment.
So obviously a connection or a question that people are going to have is, well, what happens with Patrick Roy? And Elliot Friedman had this to say on it just now. He and the hockey operations staff will meet with the new GM when named. We will see how things unfold then, which I think is the right way to go about it. It should be up to the next general manager what happens with the rest of the hockey ops staff.
Yeah, and we're even seeing some suggestions here that like Laviolette's being floated because he's been let go by the Rangers. Had a good tenure with the Islanders for half a second back in the in the early aughts, right? I think that is the right call. Patrick has an extension for a couple of years based off what Arthur Staple had said. And I think there are good elements to what Patrick Roy wants to do in terms of being a head coach with this team. It's just he was never able to fully implement that, I believe. I think he was kneecapped by Lou Lamoriello's direction for this club. Not in just in player acquisition, but in the personnel he sided him with.
Yeah, that's true too. And for why, like, this has been my stance for a while with him. Like, I don't think he needs to stay. I'm not against him staying also. I think it's, again, contingent on what the GM does. And I don't necessarily want this search to be like, okay, who can we pair with Patrick Watt? Like, no, go get the best coach available. The best general manager available, and then let them decide what they want to do at that point.
Yeah, and kind of like you've been saying that for a while, and Walter's bringing up basically what you've been saying as well. And I think Walter has said the same thing previously, like let the new GM pick the coach, which is typical, right, in NHL settings or any sports setting, right?
Exactly, and that's the norm. And I think that's the right way to go about it too. You're kind of kneecapping yourself if you're going, all right, well, now we got to find someone who's going to work with Patty. And what if you hone in on this one guy and he's like, well, here's who I would want as my head coach. I don't necessarily really want to keep Patrick Waugh. Well, it's like, well, then what do you do? Are you going to stand by your guy in Patrick Waugh, or are you going to hire this new person to be the president or run the hockey operations, whatever, and then not let them make that decision? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like the one thing we heard through this season and even near the end was this team lacked identity, right? Scott Mayfield kind of said exactly the same thing and in locker cleanout day. And so if the team doesn't have identity, that leads to a management change, and then you bring in a manager who isn't on the same level, arguably, as the head coach, well, you're really not kind of fixing anything. You're creating a new problem, or you're at least just kicking the problem down the road to next year where you're going to have to address the same problem. Now, it's possible that new GM and new head coach or current head coach, Patrick Roy, see eye to eye on what they want to do. In that case, great. But if that's not the case, then yeah, don't kick this can down the road. Do it right from the start and then get us set up next year. Because if we're not doing that, we're just wasting another year of prime Matthew Barzal and prime Sorokin and prime Dobson. Why would we do that? That seems stupid.
And this isn't going to be breaking news or some like crazy outside the box thought, but they need to get this hire right. Like they desperately need to, because there's a lot up in the air with this team right now. Noah Dobson is 25 years old, needs a new contract. Romanov needs a new contract. You have your core group of Sorokin, Barzal, Horvat, and guys like that. So the next person they hire has to make the correct decisions around the rest of the roster to get them back to a point of competing.
Yeah, that next hire's got a lot to do, though, right? Like, it's not even just, as you're rightfully pointing out, maximizing the top end of this roster by supplementing it with other top end roster players. It's doing so while also bringing in the next wave, right? The Callum Ritchies, Cole Eisermans. This is about it, really. And then to that point,
Top 10
fixing the other end of the spectrum, which is the prospect pool / the player development side of things.
That's true. The developmental side of things of these prospects hopefully improves. They will have likely another top 10 pick thrown into the mix as well in this prospect pool. But also I've seen this in the chat too. Like Chris Lamoriello's got to be out with this too, right?
Absolutely. I don't like talking and saying that someone needs to be fired, but I mean, it is a production based or performance based industry, and the Bridgeport Islanders have not performed for a while now. Sure, to a certain degree, you have to blame what Lou Lamoriello has brought to this team, but they haven't done anything with it.
Phenomenal tweet from Bud Lightly Man says white smoke above Bagel Boss means the Islanders have chosen a new GM and president of hockey operations, which is just unbelievable.
This is perfect. And you could have supplemented that with different one, right? Like All American would have been a good one.
Another classic. The first one under that comment under it says, I just fell to my knees at Uncle Giuseppe's, which is like an Italian supermarket chain here on Long Island.
Jake 58, right?
Jake's 58. Yeah.
These are all like the Long Island institutions that I know of. It's not a lot of them, but there's a few.
Yes. You've seen enough Islanders games to see the Jake's 58 commercials.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary.
Oh, I mean, if history repeats itself, then that's where this would go, right? Former backup goalie who is, in his mid to late 30s, going to look for a new spot.
Right. So I like this suggestion from Walter that isn't Jill Neal's contract up. If so, then please, that has to happen right now. This is the Dallas Stars GM. That has to happen tomorrow. But we're reflecting on what's happening here. Yes, Chris Lamoriello, Rick Kowalski, John McClain, Tommy Albin. These are all Lou hires. If you're getting rid of Lou, you got to get rid of the Lou guys as well.
Correct. And I think that's something that would happen, right? Like, I don't think this is going to be like only Lou is out, new GM comes in, everything else stays the same. Like, I would expect this is the first of many, many changes for the New York Islanders, the Bridgeport Islanders, and everything to do with this organization.
So long as it's not Spiz.
No, God, no, please. No. This was a happy day, I thought. Why are we tossing this comment in here?
You could immediately see all 5 first-round picks, the next 5 first-round picks being traded for something if Spiz is the new general manager. For all you at home who may not know who Spiz is, we all know who he is. We all love him, but definitely a king patron, if you will. And sign up today, patreon.com/uptheturnpike to learn all about Spiz and his shenaniganery with these New York Islanders. But like this is a big day for the Islanders. They hired GM, they hired oh my God. Yeah, it could be anyone.
It absolutely could be anybody, from Mike Milbury to Neil Smith to Garth Snow fresh off the ice to Lou Lamoriello. We have no direction that they're going to go. Sparky could be coming back is what Ian says here. We have no idea what the direction that this team is going to go, but as stated, they got to get this one right. They have to get this hire right. It's important.
This is an important hire going forward for the New York Islanders in more ways than one. It's not just about getting back to the playoffs. It certainly carries that, but it carries so much more than that. It's upholding the Lou Lamoriello legacy in terms of returning this team to relevancy and then building upon that. Right, like we sacrificed a lot, or Lou Lamoriello sacrificed a lot to get us to where we were a relevant team in the NHL, and he achieved that. But unfortunately, he just gave up way too friggin' much and could never get back to that level. And so we owe him a debt of gratitude for getting there, but we need to build upon that going forward, and that's why this hire has to be a ball out of the park hit. It's got to be a home run. I'm just worried that it might not be, but they did get Lou Lamoriello right. So
that's true. Interesting tweet just came across from Darren Dreger, who says, as the Islanders move on from the massive experience of Lou Lamoriello, it'll be interesting to see the list John Collins put together. Ken Holland is eager to work again, but has made it clear he wouldn't take someone's job. There has to be a vacancy. Big opening now. I don't think this is the route that you were thinking, right?
No. I saw a comment here from Tom that I wanted to disagree with in the immediate, but then we get this thing here. It's he doesn't see the John being sought after. Too many shitty contracts and an awful prospect pool means this will be a long turnaround beyond the shelf life of most GMs other than Lou. I mean, that sounds like job security to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, but also there's only 32 of these jobs out there.
Exactly.
And there's not going to be 32 openings. So somebody's going to take it. Like, it's not going to be, nobody. Now, hopefully the search is a proper search. All the cliches, they cast a wide net. They're no stone left unturned, all that, fun buzz phrases we can toss out there. But it should be a search mixed with, I would say, some guys who have experience or have had experience in the role, and then others who are looking to, take the step up in their career and move up from an assistant GM somewhere or some other role into the GM chair for the first time.
Yeah, I saw a few comments, and I'm sorry, I can't find them right now because there's a lot of comments here. Mathieu Darche, there it is. Alon says Mathieu Darche, who has a relationship with Roy. Great to have another French Canadian on the board. That'd be fantastic just from a personal level. But I believe Mathieu Darche is assistant GM in Tampa right now. So that would be huge. Learned under Yzerman, learned under Patrice Brisebois. That would be fantastic for us to get. Yeah, man, this would be, we can't go back to Holland. That is, why would you fire Lou Lamoriello to bring in Ken Holland, who is very much Lou Lamoriello 2.0. It's the same thing.
Someone who had success in the late 90s and early 2000s. You don't like that idea?
Right? I once was really good with the Red Wings. Great. But we saw what you did with a generational talent, a true generational talent in Connor McDavid, surrounded with what is arguably good players and couldn't do anything with it. No, thank you. Absolutely not. We need a creative GM because there are issues when it comes to the New York Islanders, just as the New York Islanders. Like we have recruitment issues in terms of attracting free agents. We don't have a lot of quality in terms of being able to make trades. So we're going to need a GM who's going to be creative and think outside of the box to get us outside of that. We can't have a guy who's just going to be like, I'm going to overspend. That doesn't work for the New York Islanders. You have to do something different.
100%. I think I've seen a lot of these kind of tweets and posts, but I was going to pull this one up. The beard is back. Kyle Palmieri's beard's back. Anthony Duclair is growing the hair out as we speak. I don't know if he's going to be on the team anymore after this, but he's growing the hair and beard back out at this point. Everybody is. Everybody
is. You're right. Like instantaneously, the beard comes back. I saw another comment saying that we know that Kyle Palmieri is going to be 10% more effective now that he's going to have facial hair because he draws all his power from his beard, just like Nick Leddy did.
Correct.
Yeah. The facial hair is back. Big numbers are back. A long flowing hair. Matthew Barzal is going to grow out the longest lettuce you could possibly. It's going to flow like Guy Lafleur, baby.
Please. Like rookie Matthew Barzal?
Yes. He's going to get all of his swagger back.
Yeah. Point per game, Matthew Barzal back in the mix.
Yeah, man. It's going to be amazing. Ideally. But yeah, they have to knock this out. It's going to make it for a really interesting next couple of weeks where the Islanders are going to be in the media. Everyone's going to be a candidate. Everyone's going to have their favorite candidate. And so we got a lot of content coming up, buddy.
We do have a lot of content coming out. We will, I'm sure, continue with the fallout from this news. We'll have our own list of guys that we want. We might have a coaching search after this too, Mitch. This is only the beginning. Like I said, kind of at the top here, like this isn't, Lou's out. Like, yay, that's the big news of the offseason. No. Lou is out. There's going to be a new GM hire. There's going to be potential coaching changes and other staff stuff. So make sure to subscribe right here to the channel for more New York Islanders news, and we'll react as it comes out. Right, Mitch?
Absolutely. And you get your say, right? Like Bud here is talking about like the assistant out of Florida. Richard is agreeing with me in terms of the assistant in Tampa. Like this channel is very much, while we do a lot of the speaking, we take a lot of what you're saying here and kind of filter the comment through there. So you are in the driver's seat for much of the content here. So get on board, subscribe, like, get the word out, please, please, please.
Absolutely. Guys, that'll do it for us on this stream. Just wanted to come on with our initial thoughts on the breaking news. Make sure to like the video before you hop out of here. If you're watching after the fact, toss in the comments what you feel about this decision. Subscribe if you're new. and we'll catch you next time.